What if I told you this is a Bitcoin mine in East Africa? And what was life like before you had electricity?
Imagine life without electricity. No way to store food, no lights for studying, nor to watch Bitcoin journalists on YouTube, and no power for hospitals or emergencies. For millions across the world, this isn't a hypothetical, it's reality. In remote parts of Africa, the national grid simply doesn't reach. And even where it does, power outages are common. So why aren't energy companies stepping in to solve this? Well, electricity providers won't invest in remote areas if there aren't enough customers to cover costs. It's a business, and building infrastructure is too expensive without guaranteed demand. So how do you create demand when there is none? And what if there was a way to turn unused energy into something valuable, something that could fund these projects? This is where Bitcoin mining comes in. I visited a secluded Bitcoin mine deep in rural Kenya, one that very few people even know exists. It's a place that could radically change the future for energy poverty in Africa. Let me show you.
Can't believe we're walking through the bush on the way to a mining site. I can hear I think either the miners or the energy generators. The sound of the energy generation is competing with the sound of the Bitcoin miners. The Bitcoin miners is like a high pitch, and the energy generation is a...
In this remote community, a river offers not only a lifeline, but a power source. HydroBox, a company dedicated to bringing power where it's needed, has come up with the following solution in central Kenya. Here's how it works. They divert water into two streams that drive turbines to generate electricity. From the top left of the shot, the river is diverted, running along the canals I just walked past before flowing down the slope, underneath the solar panels and into the turbines to generate electricity. It then rejoins the main body of the river in the bottom left corner. But powering a small village with hydropower alone is costly, and without enough users, connection costs remain high. By placing Bitcoin miners right next to the power source, they ensure a constant buyer for surplus energy, making this system more sustainable and lowering electricity costs for everyone. It's a win-win. HydroBox gets a steady customer, while Gridless and the villagers benefit from cheaper, reliable power. Just when it seems like Gridless is the only company mining in this area, we uncover signs of another player, one quietly experimenting with Bitcoin mining. More on that later.
The next thing is to understand how they're mining Bitcoin here, and that's where we're going now. This is where the Bitcoin are made, and it's very loud and hot. I'm stood in the shade right now behind the Bitcoin mines, and it's hotter in the shade than it is in the sun. The plant generates more electricity than the local community needs, so Gridless comes in and mines Bitcoin with this wonderful 100% green hydroelectricity. But the added benefit of this is that energy prices for the entire region start to drop, and on top of that, electrification is taking place. What does that mean? It means the villages that didn't used to have electricity and would work at candle night in the evenings, they now have electricity. And listen to how Douglas explains it. Has this helped you at all?
Yeah, it's useful.
So you have light in the evenings now?
We enjoy, we have light, we enjoy screens, we enjoy everything.
What was your village like before then?
While you are cooking, others use some firewood. But now people are changing the lifestyle. Some are using now electricity to cook. Now they are using electricity to use their food for their livestock, you see. That is the reason why people are enjoying now electricity.
Do you know what Bitcoin is?
What?
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, yeah. Have you heard of Bitcoin before?
They have it.
Yeah, they have it.
Yeah.
They have Bitcoin here, yeah. Is electricity cheaper now because of this?
Yeah, now people are enjoying.
Now they're enjoying electricity.
We are enjoying electricity.
Amazing.
I grew up in Sudan and Kenya. We didn't have any power or energy or anything, so I remember, pumped our own water. We had candles and paraffin lamps. If you talk to any of these people here in the community that have the tea farms or the cattle or whatever they have here, they'll tell you what the difference in their life it makes, right? That they can charge their phones, that they can turn an LED light bulb to study from at night instead of a paraffin lamp, that the clinic can now have a cold storage for medicines and they couldn't do that before, or that it can even be open at night, that they can irrigate their fields. You know, all these things really matter. I think we sometimes forget that when we live in places that have always on power, internet, things like that. When you first get it, you really realize how much better your life can get with even just a small amount of electricity.
My name is Kevin, the power plant operator. The challenge is connect the villages with zero tires. Zero tires means they have no electricity since they were born. The second aim was to empower the people, finding the jobs opportunities. If you can see, our company here have employed more than 600 employees. So the third was to maintain the low cost, even for the small farmers can afford this electricity. Before I was not much interested on the Bitcoins, because if you don't know how something works, probably you're not able to log into the much of details of your mind. Then I was not interested. But for now, I'm interested, and I am one of them.
There is no second best.
So this is a 533 kilowatt run-of-river hydro. What happened though is they only had about, of 533 kilowatts, they had about 200 of those kilowatts spoken for by like the tea factory, by the community around, and they needed an off-taker that could take up the rest of it to make this a financially viable project. So that sits over there now and it has a capacity to do 300 kilowatts of Bitcoin mining.
The revenue from mining Bitcoin here helps to not only cover the additional operational costs of this plant, of this operation, given that there's the solar panel, it looks to be expanding as well, but as you might know, Bitcoin is also going up in value, which means that Gridless is able to expand elsewhere and to further electrify the African continent.
Okay, but how does Gridless make money? What's in it for them?
Most mining companies globally have to pay for their power. We don't pay for our power directly. We pay for it indirectly with revenue share. And so because of that, though, we've been able to have a really good partnership with HydroBox, where they make 30% to 40%, and then we make 60 to 70% of the Bitcoin revenue. So that it caps us on the top side. So if Bitcoin mining hash price is super high, we'll obviously make a little less money than if we were just paying them out, but it protects us on the downsides.
There's now Gridless projects in I think 4 countries, possibly 3, Kenya, Malawi, Uganda, and maybe some others, meaning that more and more Africans are gaining access to electricity.
This little site, which is maybe an acre, can have this incredible outsized impact on everybody in the community. There's jobs here, maybe a dozen. That's the generation.
Oh, I see.
But then there's the distribution, which is all these power lines that you see, right? And you have power line workers, and you have customer service, and you have, all these other guys who are setting up meters and everything like that. But here's my favorite part. Every country in Africa has like national power grid outages, right?
Which suck, yeah.
Which suck. Right. Malawi, they were going for 8 hours a day. In Zambia, there are 22 hours a day of power outages. 22, so they had 2 hours of power a day.
Why do they even frame it that way?
In these little mini grids, they still have power. They don't have a problem. So the power goes off over there, and these guys still have energy. Right. So that's the beauty, I think, of decentralizing energy too. I think Bitcoin itself can be the financial engine to build more of this.
While interviewing Eric, we heard the familiar hum of ASICs, but this time it was coming from the other side of the river. Curious, we hopped over the old dam to investigate. What we found was fascinating.
So we've found another Bitcoin mine on the site, and there's this sort of makeshift barrier which is hiding a Starlink, and you can hear the sounds of ASICs just below me. So in this what used to be the old mining site, they're now mining Bitcoins.
HydroBox had quietly set up its own Bitcoin mining operation, experimenting with mining and testing machines for their next project. It's compelling that even HydroBox, which Eric mentioned was initially hesitant about Bitcoin, is now recognizing Bitcoin's potential and actively exploring its value. Their mini Bitcoin mine not only validates the model, but also helps further decentralize the Bitcoin mining network. By the way, if you want to learn more about Bitcoin mining,
please check out planb.network, simply the best place to learn about Bitcoin. For any questions you might have about Bitcoin, or in particular, Bitcoin mining. They are absolutely my cup of tea. And now that I've spilled the tea on how to learn about Bitcoin, you're gonna want to buy some, in which case, check out CoinCorner.com. CoinCorner is a wonderful Bitcoin exchange run by lovely people. They're based out of the UK. They've been going for 10 years, so you know they're good. Sorry, I'm out of breath. We've just come up the hill to the village, which has recently been electrified. So we're gonna go say hello and see how they're doing. Hi, good afternoon. How are you? Can you ask her if she had electricity before the power plant?
She can't remember, but when the electricity was supplied, then he was the first.
You were the first?
Yeah, he was the first.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
Lovely. Has she heard of Bitcoin before?
No, she have no idea.
That's okay, don't worry. The main thing is it's helped you to electrify your house. I mean, what do you do with your electricity?
Watching television and the rights.
So what was life like before you had electricity? What did you do?
Oh, he used some little lights which used kerosene.
Ah, kerosene lamps. Wow. Look, the TV's on. Lovely, thank you. Yeah, so in the past 3 years, this house now has electricity, and she threw away her kerosene lamps because she didn't need them. And now there's a television playing. There's a TV box as well. And there's a light bulb above my head. If you're on YouTube, you can watch this video. Okay. Oh, you have one of those phones. Okay, yeah. There's no YouTube on there. I'll come back next year. So above my head is the cable that is attached to the electricity pole. See where it's connected to the pole and then draws back from the grid down there. So she is the first house. Good afternoon. Sit. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. You have a TV?
Yes.
And there is light. Amazing. What was life like before electricity?
Life was very hard when she had no electricity.
And now how does she use electricity?
She pump water from the electricity for the TV and for the lights.
Would you like a brownie? It's a brownie, like chocolate. Is that okay if she eats it?
She's saying she's very hungry. She have no.
Oh, she's very hungry. Oh, let me see if I have more food. Sorry. Are you okay, Anna? Do you want to be on camera right now?
Yeah, I'm good.
How did that make you feel?
Intense experience.
Intense experience?
Yeah, it's an intense experience. Seeing life conditions like that in real life. Understanding that people are actually used to have no electricity, have no food these days, and have to deal with that on a daily basis.
Really amazing work you're doing. And that is reality for billions of people.
You guys should be very proud, both of you guys.
So what do they need?
Bitcoin fixes that.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's the energy.
no, Anna is right. Bitcoin mining did lead to the electrification of these rural villages. Before the miners arrived, these communities were left in darkness, relying on dangerous kerosene lamps, like the one the lady in the interview she threw away. Bitcoin mining created the demand needed to make electrification possible, turning stranded and unused energy into life-changing power. It's true, the mini-grid operator, HydroBox, built a renewable energy system, but the challenge was demand. I really need to insist upon this. In sparsely populated areas, the upfront costs of electrification simply don't make financial sense because there aren't enough paying customers. Bitcoin mining changed all of that. By deploying mining equipment on site, the operators had a constant buy for their excess electricity, even when the villagers couldn't use it all. And of course, the community doesn't need to know anything about Bitcoin to benefit.
Has she heard of Bitcoin before?
No, she have no idea.
The revenue from mining not only covered operating costs, but it also made electricity more affordable for homes, schools, and small businesses. Without Bitcoin mining, there was no economic incentive, and the energy was left stranded.
It's not the energy fixing it. Sure, the Bitcoin is the catalyst.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely special. It's so special. Seeing absolute abject poverty like that for the first time is always really, really impactful. And then it's the realization that hundreds of millions of people live like that. That's when it all becomes really, really heavy and burdensome. But the message is clear. If you have stranded energy, which lots of countries, lots of regions around the world have, then the way to electrify, the way to bring more energy to more people is through Bitcoin mining. Isn't that just the most wonderful, powerful and optimistic message? It truly is decentralizing energy. And we're seeing it not just here, but we're seeing it in Malawi, in Zambia. You know, Gridless have other sites planned. And it blows me away. I am, again, lost for words by the amazing invention that is Bitcoin and what it's doing to the world. Like, look at this, I'm in the middle of the African bush and they're mining Bitcoin, bringing more electricity to homes, making energy cheaper for everyone in the surrounding areas, building jobs. I can't, what is the downside? The next generation of kids living in that village will be able to study at night without the need for a paraffin lamp. It's mental, absolutely mental.
But one last thing. It's not all about cost or money, it's also about access. Listen to Eric.
It can lower the price of power. So in this community it did, right? They were able to lower the price of power by about 10 shillings per kilowatt. In other parts of Africa where we operate, we've seen that the power price hasn't dropped, but because the power partner is finally financially sustainable, they're able to extend the grid. Like, for example, in Zambia, we've seen, I think it's, when we first got there, there was about 1,000 households that had electricity. A year later, 500 more families had electricity. In Malawi, when we got there, they increased the number of households that had electricity by 200 in the first 3 months. So what we start seeing is the electrification of more people happen. Like, you're from the UK.
Yeah.
Even in the UK, there's stranded energy. There's stranded potential wherever we look.
Eric is right, of course. As shown by the following graph, the UK, like Africa, has tremendous untapped energy, and it should probably use it to mine Bitcoin. Don't believe it's possible? I documented a guy doing just that near London. Watch that episode now, and please hit the like button so more people see how Bitcoin is changing the world.